Do you know what it's like to have an epiphany where something that probably should have been so obvious to you all along, all of a sudden just kind of comes up and whacks you upside of the head, and you think, why in the world didn't I think about that? And I had one of those this morning. It seems to me that back when I was a kid, we used to watch a cartoon on TV, and some of you older ones that listen to my shows probably know about this, was called uh, Sherman and Peabody. And Mr. Peabody was a dog, and Sherman was a young boy, and Mr. Peabody used to point things out to Sherman all the time. And one of the things that Mr. Peabody used to say to Sherman all the time was, "Let's put on our thinking caps." And it has occurred to me, after watching a lot of news stories and listening to a lot of talk here of late, that the problem with our education system and the way we're bringing up our youngins these days is that we don't have them putting their thinking caps on. We're telling them what to think. We don't have them doing any problem solving. We're telling them that, oh, you need the government to take care of you, and oh, you need to listen to what the government says. You just do what the government says. You do what the school system says. You do what everybody says, and everything will be just hunky-dory. And nobody's being taught to put their thinking cap on and think anymore. I believe that that is a huge problem in our society today. A lot of problems could be solved if there was less government telling everybody what to do and putting regulations on everybody, and having folks put on their thinking caps and use, well, that's something that is sorely lacking these days. It's called common sense. Thing that tells you that you shouldn't do something. It goes along with having some morals. That's another thing that's sorely lacking. And I believe that that's something that's in the school system as well. See, when I was a kid, you couldn't even wear, girls could not wear slacks to school, let alone jeans. You had to wear dresses, and it was called moral. You had to dress the part. I see kids now, I watch them going up and down the street here in front of my house, headed to school or headed home from school, and Lord have mercy, they look like they just got out of the rag bag. Nobody is being taught any morals anymore. It doesn't even have to be a religious thing. This is a thing that has to do with having some self-respect. Straighten yourself up. People of Walmart thing that they've had on the computer where you pull up that page called peopleofwalmart.com, and it, Lord, the things that they have showing up at the Walmart store, are you kidding me? We used to go to the store on Sunday mornings, or I'm sorry, on Saturday mornings when I was a kid, and you had to clean up before you went to the store. You put on clean clothes. You made sure that you was washed up good. You didn't go looking all dirty and nasty and having your old barn clothes and stuff on. You cleaned up before you went to town. I see some of the things here in town going up and down the street. Now, I can understand it. You're working on a job someplace and you're all dirty and you just need to run to the hardware store and get something real quick and you're out of there. Some of these things that I see, you going to the grocery store or the bank, I'm like, what in the world? Where did you crawl out of a gutter from to show up here looking that way? Hair ain't combed, they're dirty, you probably haven't had a bath in a month. I mean, it's no big shame to be poor, but it's a shame to walk around being filthy. People don't use their thinking caps anymore. They don't think. Old Fred, he's even chiming in on it this morning, my co-host and cockatiel over here. He's trying to tell you his 2 cents worth. He thinks I'm right. But man, oh man, People don't use their thinking caps. I just did a breaking story over on Level Headed News this morning about a fellow that's taken some hostages in Alabama at a credit union. Now, where is his thinking cap? What happened to him to make him think that would be a good idea? Is he just trying to get his 15 minutes of fame? I don't even know if he went in to try to rob the credit union or what his idea is. He's taking hostages. And where on earth does he think that's a good idea? There's 4 different police units involved and a helicopter flying over the joint. I mean, does he really think he's going to get away from there in one piece? The chances of that are slim and none. Make it out of there. Does he think he's ever going to get out of jail? I mean, does he read the news? Has he paid any attention at all to what's going on? We've got patriots that's sitting in jail in Oregon and in Nevada that have been there for almost a year and not even tried yet. And that was a peaceful protest. If this guy does happen to have that credit union in one piece, he ain't never going to get out of jail. Where's the thinking cap? It just amazes me, the things that I read in the news, and people think it's a good idea. I mean, another perfect example would be Nancy Pelosi. What on earth? Was she dropped on her head when she was a baby? What's wrong with that woman? Every time she opens her mouth, it's some other ignorant thing coming out of her face. I can't believe the things that I hear out of her. Back when Obamacare was introduced, she said, "Oh, we have to pass it so then we can read it to know what's in it." Are you kidding me? Does she even listen to herself at all? I was once told a bright idea would be stick your head in the bucket and say something and let it echo back to you 2 or 3 times so you can hear how it sounds before you blurt it out of your mouth. And I think somebody needs to buy Nancy a bucket. She certainly ain't listening to nothing that she's saying before it comes out of her mouth. I think that we could go back to our roots and listen to what was told to us as a kid by none other than Mr. Peabody. Put on your thinking cap.